Welcome to the 5th Annual Indigenous Peoples Day, hosted by the Alaska Pacific University, as well as the Inks at 50 series. And I have my wonderful co-host, Aries Hoyle. Welcome.
Thank you, Cheyenne, and thank you, everybody, for letting me be a part of this 5th Annual Indigenous Peoples Day celebration. It's going to be a big one.
Well, I just want to introduce myself in my language. Najita Hontere, Shojre Cheyenne Beatty, Eagle Huchin. My name is Cheyenne. I'm Hanwichin Athabaskan from Eagle, Alaska, and I'm Tronik Wichin from Dawson or Moosehide, Yukon Territory near Dawson City. And I'm really excited to be here today with Aries. And we're really super excited to have everybody join us today. We're going to have Dwarf Prizes. Because this is the Inks at 50 series, we are going to have a bunch of different links that you can link to throughout this time, and then find out a little bit more about what's going to be happening beyond just Indigenous Peoples Day. But you get to meet some pretty amazing people today, and we're just going to have an amazing time. So thank you. As you would say, Chinan Guninu, thank you. You came here.
Absolutely. It's an honor. There's a lot of great lineups we're going to have all in one go. And I myself am representing the Tlingit of Southeast Alaska, as well as the other Southeast Alaska natives such as Haida and Tsimshian. Tlingit Khenach, Yaudune Yuchatuasak, Atlain Gunashish to cut you on. I am Raven Woodworm of the Tlingit tribe, and it is my honor to be acknowledging everyone who is here today on their homelands and allowing me to be a part of this. Shout out to Cheyenne as well, amazing co-host.
Thank you, Aries. We're so glad that we're able to actually be here virtually, because I'm in New York and you are where?
I'm currently in Lake Stevens, Washington.
So the power of Zoom and technology. Well, today we're excited to thank our funders who really helped put this amazing technological day together for Indigenous Peoples Day, that we can be connected no matter where you are on Turtle Island. And so as a part of the APU's Inks at 50 series, we're funded by the Atwood Foundation, Bristol Bay Native Corporation, as well as Cook Inlet Tribal Council. And we'll have the link that's going to be dropped in the comment box to learn more about these events.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are residing on a land and you might think, I know there's a tribe I'm in, and I'm not even sure which tribe I'm representing. Here's the thing. If you want to find out what land you are on, you can visit nativeland.ca, and there will also be a link dropped in the comment box. Please share with us what land you join us from today.
And I know there's some pretty amazing speakers. Who's joining us today, Aries?
Oh, absolutely. I could look at a lot of these great names here. We got Aaron Leggett. We got Ethan Schutt. We have Harold Napoleon, Patrick Salinov. We even have Dr. De Lee, Sambo DeRoe, and the UAA APU faculty members who will present on Indigenous classes and programs their institutions offer to all. Amazing people.
And we're going to also have some performances by the Alaska Native Heritage Center dancers, as well as the Ina Kiljeshna, and our very own Aries is going to be performing today. So we're really excited about that. Also, we're going to be giving a lot of door prizes away. I know that everybody that's joining us here today is joining us to really celebrate how we are as an Indigenous people here on the land that we're residing on. But we wanted to thank you for joining us today. And so we have some door prizes that were donated by our co-hosts. So if you haven't signed up yet, you can do so. And they're going to drop the link in the comment box. But you only have until noon to really let your family and friends know that you can sign up to win. So please go there, sign up, and there's about 40 different prizes. You could win some salmon, or you can get some swag from some of the people that helped fund Indigenous Peoples Day today. I even got an art piece donated from the Alaskan Native Heritage Center, which is a beautiful mammoth ivory pendant by Mike Wassley. So sign up, make sure you go to that comment and get the comment box and get the link. And we would like to get this started off. So we'd like to invite the Alaskan Native Heritage Center dance group to the stage to perform. They're going to be performing live in the Atwood Center, Rasmussen Hall at APU, where the ceremonial signing of ANCSA occurred 50 years ago. And we'd like to welcome them. Thank you for the Alaska Native Heritage Center.
Good morning. So we are the Alaska Native Heritage Center dancers, and our dance group was formed through an after-school program that we used to run throughout the winter time, but due to some budget cuts that happened, we had to since then dismantle our program. But this is where we learned all of our songs and all of our dances, and for this performance, we're going to be sharing 3 songs and 3 dances with you guys. And so this first dance that we're going to share with you guys, but before we get into that, I'm going to have my dance group introduce themselves. But for the first song that we're going to be doing is a song known as Dagwagon. And the second song that we're going to be sharing with you guys, it belongs to Yari's grandfather, and that is known as Whaling Song, which comes from St. Lawrence Island. And the last song that we're going to be sharing with you guys is known as Beautiful Women of the North. And that song comes from our relatives from Russia. And I would like to pass the mic around and have my dancers introduce themselves. Thank you.
My name is Taylor Hamilton. My mother's from Dillingham, and her parents are from Shagaluk and Clark's Point.
My name is Tatiana Stepton. My family comes from the Pribilof Islands, St. Paul and St. George, and I was born and raised here in Anchorage.
My name is Yari from St. Lawrence. I'm from the village of Savunga, and I'm very honored to wear my friend's gloves that were used for whale hunting because it's very sacred to us.
My name is Antiliana Cherian. I come from Chivac. Yeah.
Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. And so this is Dagwagon. Thank you. All right, thank you. And so we have time for a couple more. And so this next one that we're going to be sharing with you guys, it's going to look a little bit different, but it's going to look the same all at the same time. But this next song that we'd like to share with you guys, it belongs to Yari's grandfather, as I mentioned before. And this song is a whaling song from St. Lawrence Island. And enjoy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so our last song that we'd like to share with you guys, it's known as Beautiful Women of the North, and this song comes from Russia. This is a trade song, so thank you. Thank you, and Koyana to all of you that tuned in, and thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to dance for you guys. Thank you very much, and have a good Indigenous Peoples Day. Koyana.
NHC, ANHC. That was fantastic, you guys. Repping the 50-year celebration, letting them know that your voice is heard. That is what we need in a time like this here. Absolutely.
Thank you, Aries. That was wonderful. It's always wonderful to see the Alaskan Native Heritage Center dancers represented. And we are excited to also welcome and invite Nicholas Patrick Salinov to open the program with a blessing. He is actually originally from Chiniga and is an esteemed cultural bearer and subsistence gatherer in the Chugach region, and is a very respected leader at the Valdez Orthodox Parish. And many may recognize him from the Nuchik Spirit Camp, which is in Prince William Sound. It's a traditional summer camp where youth and elders learn about Native arts, as well as subsistence lifestyle skills, and Sukstun and Eyak languages from those like his wife, Nicholas Patrick, and his beloved wife, Diane. And so we're really super gracious for him to be here. And we'd like to welcome Nicholas Patrick Salinov to open today's program with a blessing. I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Could you hear me now?
Oh, yes. Oh. Thank you so very much. Yeah, we're going to work through it.
Okay. As she said, my name is Patrick Salinov from Chiniga, and I'm honored to do the opening prayer for the Indigenous Peoples Day. O Heavenly King, Comforter, Spirit of Truth, who art everywhere, present and fill us all things, the treasury of good things and giver of life, come and abide in us, and cleanse us from every impurity and save our souls. Holy God, Holy Mighty, Holy Mortal, have mercy on us. Holy God, Holy Mighty, Holy Mortal, have mercy on us. Holy God, Holy Mighty, Holy Mortal, have mercy on us. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, now and ever, and unto ages of ages. Amen. All Holy Trinity, have mercy on us. Cleanse us. Lord, cleanse us from our sins. Master, pardon our iniquities. Holy God, visit and heal our infirmities for thy name's sake. Dear God, as we gather, may you bestow your blessing upon each of us and prepare our hearts for the things that will be discussed. Lord, help us to be a blessing in the way we speak and act like everything we discuss here to be in alignment with your word. And we may speak with humility when presenting our ideas. Help us to admit our mistakes and be willing to act upon the solution. Be willing to act upon the solution given to us. May your glory and peace fill this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Masi.
Koyana. Thank you, Patrick Salinov. Really breathing the presence into existence, letting us feel the spirit and the soul food. That is a must. So from there, we would like to introduce another good friend of ours, Aaron Leggett. Aaron Leggett is the president and chair of the native village of Eklutna. We would like to thank the NVE for their past, present, and future stewardship of the traditional Dena'ina Athabaskan lands that the municipality of Anchorage resides upon. So thank you, Patrick. Aaron Leggett.
Yali Ethlanda Shishida Aaron Leggett Ashtanak Chi Chu Chada. Yali Ethlanda Shishida Aaron Leggett Gashtanak Chi Chu Chada Denainak Chi Nolchina Ethlan Chu Idla Ratchkachti Shtukta Rick Leggett Shunkta Diane Bowles. Hello everybody, my name is Aaron Leggett. I'm the president of the native village of Eklutna. I'm also the senior curator of Alaska history and indigenous culture at the Anchorage Museum. And it's my honor to give you a traditional welcome here to Dena'ina Elfnena, the Dena'ina homeland, on Indigenous Peoples Day. I hope that there's a wonderful celebration, and I just want to say, Chinan, Guninu, thank you, you all came here today.
Thank you, Aaron Leggett, for welcoming the audience to the traditional homelands of the Dena'ina people. Represent the people who put this all together. Shout out to the Dena'ina.
Thank you, Aries. I am very glad to be able to introduce our next speaker here, who is somebody that I've known since I was young. We actually went to hang out in Tok High School there. And I'm super glad to have Ethan Shutt, who's the chairman of Alaska Pacific University, where the event is actually held in person here today. And I wanted to tell a little bit about some of the great things that Ethan's been doing throughout the years. And we're so glad to be able to have somebody like you to be able to join us today. Ethan is Athabaskan from the interior community of Tok. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree with honors in mathematics from Washington State University and a Juris Doctorate degree from Stanford Law School. And we're so glad for you to join us here today. It's always great to see you, Ethan.
Thank you, Cheyenne. And thank you, everyone who's online and in person. On behalf of the APU Board of Trustees and the university leadership, welcome. Thank you for making time today to join us to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day here at APU in our now annual tradition of hosting an Indigenous Peoples Day event. Here's to hoping that next year it'll be the in-person carnival that we've had in years prior to the pandemic, because that's always a lot more fun. But understanding the circumstances we're in, thank you for everyone who's made time to join us virtually and in person. Now this year we're celebrating ANCSA at 50. So 50 years ago, APU played a significant role in the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, both in leading up to and coordinating and negotiating this great experiment, and also in the celebration and ceremonial signing of the actual act. It's a great experiment in empowering Native people. APU's founder, Dr. Peter Gordon Gould, was an Alaska Native man, and he made these following comments about ANCSA not long after its passage at the AFN annual meeting in 1978. As all other citizens of the United States finally come to a head in December 1971, when Congress passed the Native Land Claims Settlement Act. While much can be said pro and con about this act, it does, for the first time in our recent history, recognize us as a people. People who can be charged with tremendous responsibilities and challenging opportunities. People who can be called upon to readjust their lifestyle so as to participate fully in the decision-making process and in the full scale of personal, social, and community affairs, which must be responsibly undertaken by both Native and non-Native citizens of Alaska to achieve a better way of life for all her people and assume full responsibility in the affairs of our nation and in our relationship with the world. Now, for the first time in our history, we have equal responsibility with non-Native Alaskans to answer this haunting and perplexing question: what is going to happen to Alaska this time? It's amazing. So many of these things that he said in that excerpt resonate today probably as well as they did, and maybe even more so than in 1978. Dr. Gould was right. All of us, Native and non-Native, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, we bear great responsibilities and we face tremendous opportunities together. Our relatively recent partnership between APU and ANTHC demonstrates the benefits of taking things on together. This fall, APU's enrollment of 545 students represents the highest enrollment in at least 5 years, a rebound from a historic low point. And we now have almost a full quarter of our student body comprised of Alaska Native and American Indian students, fulfilling Dr. Gould's vision of providing a higher education opportunity to Alaska's First People. And 83% of our students hail from Alaska, representing some 34 communities, another of Dr. Gould's important visions in the founding of this university. So as we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day 2021, we also celebrate INCSET 50. Together, we commit to carry on working together to address the challenges of Alaska, the persistent challenges of rural Alaska, and the still present challenges of ensuring that Alaska Natives are provided with the same opportunities as all other Alaskans. We do all this together, hand in hand, side by side. And APU is proud of its part and its role. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day, and thank you again for joining us.
Well, Yana, thank you, Mr. Schatz. Absolutely. We're going to keep ourselves unified thanks to the ANCSA Act, and we're going to do it the right way. Make this the Indigenous Peoples 50 celebration we asked for sure.
Thank you very much, Ethan. Masi Choshicha. Thank you very much, my friend. We are so glad that you could join us here today, and we are really happy to announce our next speaker as well, Dr. Daly Sambo Duro. I actually had the pleasure of being in Reykjavik and seeing you speak. And I know you're the international chair of the Inuit Circumpolar Council, which is a non-government organization that represents approximately 165,000 Inuit from Russia's far east, all the way to Alaska, Canada, and Greenland. And it was really great pleasure to be able to be there to see you speak. And it is my honor today to introduce you and welcome you to Indigenous Peoples Day.
Qiyanak Cheyenne, and also allow me to extend my thanks to not only you, but also Crystal and the co-sponsors of this event, as well as the colleagues that'll be on the program a little bit later, especially my former colleagues at University of Alaska Anchorage, Beth and Maria. I wanted just to also make reference to some of the work of the Inuit Circumpolar Council on this auspicious day, but first of all, recall the fact that the former Governor Bill Walker proclaimed today as Indigenous Peoples Day here in the state of Alaska, And it's significant that President Joe Biden has done so as well. And in addition, over 130 cities, including Washington, D.C. and the District of Columbia, proclaiming today as Indigenous Peoples Day. This is highly significant, as well as the number of states across the U.S. that have done so. I did want to point out that at the United Nations, where the Inuit Circumpolar Council does most of its work, or a good chunk of its work, that the UN proclaimed August 9th as International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples. And there's a bit of a backstory that maybe many don't know about. And that backstory involves the fact that Indigenous peoples were eager to declare October 12th as Indigenous Peoples Day. And we ran into some pretty stiff opposition from the government of Spain. So many Indigenous peoples may not be surprised at that, but it may not be well known that there were some serious issues concerning any date really in October to be declared as the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples. And though we argued pretty vociferously about that particular issue, in the end of the day, in the United Nations, which many know is the premier organization of nation states across the globe, August 9th was declared the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples. So at a minimum, there is a day recognized internationally in favor of Indigenous peoples, but it's not the day that Indigenous peoples lobbied for. I also want to mention that in just a few days, the world should be celebrating November 7th as the International Inuit Day. And this day has been declared certainly by Inuit in recognition of the extraordinary leadership and foresight of the late Eben Hobson, who is recognized as the founder of the Inuit Circumpolar Council. And as Cheyenne said earlier, we're an international non-governmental organization, or more accurately, an Indigenous peoples organization representing 180,000 Inuit throughout Chukotka, Alaska, Canada, and Greenland. And I know Cheyenne said 165,000. We've gone back and looked at that particular number and recognized that we have been increasing, not dramatically, but incrementally, in the number of Inuit throughout Inuit Nunaat, or our traditional homelands, since 1977. So we now more accurately refer to the representation of 180,000 Inuit throughout our traditional homelands. I also am really pleased to acknowledge and pay respect to the Dena'ina of this area and the recognition that we are on Dena'ina lands, and appreciate the efforts that have been made to not only have this recognition become visible in terms of the various different sites and buildings across Anchorage, but also with the modest displays that are emerging across the city in order to educate people that you are on the traditional homelands of Indigenous peoples. And really that's, in the end, the ultimate objective of Indigenous Peoples Day, is to educate and inform others about our current reality and vitality of our communities, and the opportunity to continue to make contributions, not only in our favor, but in my view, in favor of all of humanity. And I'll just touch upon a couple of those things in the course of my remaining time. Though the overall context is marking the 50th anniversary of the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. I want to draw attention, especially of the younger generation, to the early work of the Inuit Circumpolar Council here in Alaska, and in particular to pay respects to the late Thomas R. Berger, who was the sole commissioner of the Alaska Native Review Commission. And the purpose of that commission, conducted or funded by the ICC and the World Council of Indigenous Peoples, but the objective of that work and Thomas Berger's work was to review the impact of the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. And he did so again from 1983 to 1985. And in my estimation, though we've made extraordinary strides and that there have been positive developments, the voices of the tribal governments in Alaska, I think many of their voices, their objectives, their aspirations remain outstanding despite the positive advances that have been made. I think that the issues like the recent collapse of the salmon along the Kuskokwim and Yukon River is a perfect example as to why our food security and hunting, fishing, and harvesting, which were purportedly extinguished by ANCSA, are important reminders about the role of tribal governments and the role of our people and our leadership, especially at the micro level, at the local level, that those issues need to be informed by tribal governments and their leadership. And it's unfortunate that we don't presently have a statewide tribal government organization in Alaska that is truly and genuinely responsive to the voices and the views of the tribal governments. We have had advances in that regard. Again, former Governor Bill Walker's policy on tribes, the extraordinary work of individuals like Valerie Davidson to put in place concrete ways to bridge the barriers between the state of Alaska and tribal governments. I mean, all of these things remain relevant and outstanding. So in relation to the 50th anniversary of ANCSA, again, I think it's important for this generation and future generations to recognize that there are some outstanding issues that need to be addressed, including our hunting, fishing, and harvesting rights. There's a lot more that I could say about ANCSA at 50, but I'll yield there and to spend a couple of minutes talking about the work of the Inuit Circumpolar Council at the international level, because the objective of the organization is to unite our people from across our homelands and to raise our voice at the international level. So presently, we're working to prepare for the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change meeting, which will take place November 1st through 12th in Glasgow, Scotland. Myself and a number of other Inuit will travel to Glasgow. We're hoping. Many things remain uncertain because of the pandemic, but we hope to arrive there and make an impact upon the dialogue and the discussions, and to, again, raise our voices about how climate change is impacting our people at the local level, but also the significance of the knowledge that we have, the indigenous knowledge that we have, in order to arrive at the best decisions, the best policies to move the world forward and away from the dramatic and rapid changes that we see unfolding throughout our circumpolar homelands. So we'll be at the COP26 again in Glasgow, November 7th, International Inuit Day. We'll host a reception and again, try to raise awareness and educate others about the reality of climate change and its impacts. In addition, we've spent a bit of time trying to influence the UN Food System Summit. That summit took place in late September at the UN headquarters. The ICC and other Indigenous peoples in the Arctic region collaborated and coordinated our views and perspectives, and in particular with our colleagues of the Sami Council in Norway, Sweden, Finland, and the part of Russia where Sami reside, came together to prepare an Arctic region declaration. And again, our efforts were focused at influencing the outcomes of the UN Food System Summit. And I think it's no surprise to our listeners and participants today that our food and our food systems relate to so much more than just calories and nutrition. We all know as Indigenous peoples that our foods relate to our identity, our cultural expressions, our spirituality, and so much more. So these are just some examples of how we have tried to influence the work going on at the international level and to ensure that Inuit and the voices of Indigenous peoples are heard. I am grateful for the opportunity to share these few remarks and want to give a shout out to all Inuit, but also all Indigenous peoples across Alaska and across the globe to stand up straight and tall and be proud about your Indigenous identity, not only on this day, but every day. So, Qianak, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Daly Sambo Dora. That is the message. Everyone's going to get acknowledgement, recognition, and we're all going to be passionate about it. Natives with attitude is what we call that one.
Thank you so much, Dr. Daly Sambo Duro. I am so excited to always hear you speak, and thank you for your advocacy and voice throughout all of the world, quite frankly. It was now with my pleasure to introduce a dance group, actually, that in 2011, individuals from 5 different Dena'ina villages, Tyonek, Haklutna, Nundalton, Kenai, as well as Kinnick, came together to remember and sing their songs and formed the Idiina Keljujna dance group, which is the friendship dancers. It's really great to be able to see them perform. They were at our Indigenous place names ceremony when we did the place name of Chanchnu down at Westchester Lagoon. And we were so happy to have them perform. Various people from different age groups are a part of this group. Stephen Hawley is actually the dance group lead, and he's been really with the dance group since its inception. And so when not singing and dancing, Stephen actually works at the Alaska Village Initiatives, working to really provide food security in rural Alaska, which we know is a major thing that is happening right now, especially during this pandemic. So I'm really excited to introduce Stephen Hawley and the Idiina Keljujna dancers.
Dagwagon Inuit, welcome. We're Ina Kaljeshna with the Friendship Dancers. We are your local Dena'ina dance group. Most of us are Northern Coquitlam Dena'ina, so the dialect of Anchorage, you'd be speaking our language if this was still back in the olden days. But we gather together always to live Indigenous Peoples Day every day. Like I said, we're local. We gather every Thursday. We do singing, dancing, beading. We started fishing, NYO, story time. We do all that. This is for our youth. This is for our people. I'm glad today that we get to celebrate with you. So now our next song is our war song. And this is one that we use to be able to gather all our people together for in times of need. It's something that we've always held as a part of our need, is to be able to gather up so that we could be strong together. And this is our war song. Hey, you laugh, ah, hey, hey, you laugh, hey, you laugh, hey, yo, hey, 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 you laugh, ah, hey, hey, you laugh, ah, hey, hey, you laugh, hey, you laugh, hey, yo, hey, 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 you laugh, ah, hey, hey, you laugh, ah, So it only gave us 15 minutes, so we want to get through some songs, all right? We don't want to just go straight to war. We also want to gather everybody to have fun. So our next song is our gathering song. Valentines Creek is thousands of years old. All right. We are, we are, we are, hey. We are, hey. Hey, hey, we are, hey. We are, hey. We are, So that's our song for, to try and inspire people to join us. If there wasn't COVID times, we asking you guys to join us. Hopefully you guys are dancing at your homes. So our next song, how much time do we have? Good? All right. So our next song is the boys' competition. So, give the girls your drum. Here, let me see. So one of the things about our dance style is that it's all about telling a story, showing your skill, and showing your strength. You'll see how they go down a lot lower than normal and start using hand motions to tell you a story and doing it within their actions. So this is a story about when the Dena'ina people first got music. And one of our men, they got so excited and they ran to the next village and they forgot their supplies, so they started talking to another Dena'ina man with song and dance. We still keep that tradition alive. This is our boys' competition. They get a little tired from that. Usually they got more girls here and we do the girls competition, but there's not enough here. It's all right. You gotta give me a dirty look. And our next song, are we still good on time? All right. Let's do our Dena'ina National Anthem. All right, so this is one that was put together by our elders. It's saying how beautiful our land is, that it's full of bears, full of wildlife, full of fish. Our rivers and our lakes are full of them. That our grandfathers have always been here. It's full of beautiful mountains, beautiful landscape. So please, just leave us alone. And it's saying to the tone of, this land is our land, or God save the Queen. Na eltne na ginidi shelti na gelnik yokada kadeshli na tukta ina kisil na jiakta ina ilstingelnik Yokada shugu, yokuchku denatsen, degali na kilna, ketnu chara nilten, yokada kadeshli, ngoiki na gelta, Shagela benakilan, yokada shugu, yokuchku natsen. All right, want us to keep on going? One more? Uno más. All right. So our next song is the Leggett song. All right. We made our elder made a dance to this to tell a story about when he ran into a caribou and the caribou charged at him and he froze up. He put his hands straight up and he caught the caribou's antlers in his hands. And the caribou left his antlers and kept on going. And this dance, this is our rendition of that, telling that story. Way-ya, hey-ya, hey-ya, hey, way-ya, hey-ya, hey-ya, hey, way-ya, hey-ya, hey-ya, hey, Janan, for having us. We are your local Dena'ina dance group. In the Kaljeshna, we're the friendship dancers. All are welcome to join us. Like I said, we're the friendship dancers. We get together every Thursday, 6 o'clock, C Street and 16th. Janan, for your time. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. What?
You, Indigenous Kaljeshna, really hyping us up, feeling the power of the Indigenous Peoples Day, my brothers. That's what we need right here. I really liked the consistent energy and power that these people bring, because it's performances like those ones. Even if they're over a Zoom call, you're like, yo, turn up, Indigenous power, multi-talented. Now, we would like to say thank you to all of our partners who helped make today possible. That would include the Alaska Pacific University, the Alaska Native Heritage Center, the Alaska Native Professional Association, the Alaska Native Sisterhood Camp number 87, Alaska Native Tribal Health Association, Alaska Native Village Corporation, Alaska's people as a whole, Native Peoples Action, Native Village of Eklutna, and friends of mine, Bumua. Shout out to you all. Koyana Gunashish.
Thank you, Arias. We're so glad that we can have various dance groups join us today, and also various speakers from across the state of Alaska. The next speaker that we have, I actually got the pleasure of reading the book that this person wrote. It's called Yoyorok, The Way of the Human Being. And I'm excited to introduce Harold Napoleon, who is Yupik, and wanted to also thank him as well for the book. I find that right now, in the time that we're in during the pandemic and COVID, Yoyorok, The Way of the Human Being, if you have not read it, you should. It is very relevant right now, and just seeing kind of what has happened to us throughout the years since the first large pandemic came through the state of Alaska. So it is with such great honor and pleasure that I welcome Harold Napoleon to speak to us today on Indigenous Peoples Day. Harold? It's a long way to do a Zoom from where people are, so we're getting people online.
Can you hear me now?
I can definitely hear you. Welcome, Harold. We're so glad.
Me too. I'm glad to be here. And I saw the program you have, and someone referred to me as an honored elder. I need to correct that. I have an aunt and other elders still alive in my family and my tribe, so I can't even get close to them. So I am not an honored elder, but I'm out here working. I've been working my entire life for my own people. Now today we're remembering our own selves. I remember as a boy, when I heard about Christopher Columbus. That's when I first heard of Christopher Columbus. And that's also the first time I realized that there were other worlds and other people out there. And because we refer to ourselves as Yupik or Yupik, real human being, I wondered who they were out there. So I had a picture in my mind of my world, our world, like a marble floating in space with a bridge connecting it to another world. So to me, that's how I imagined the world.
Harold, not to interrupt you, but do you have your camera on? I can't see you.
I prefer not to be on the camera, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I listened to the radio a long time, and I remember better what I heard with my ears and what I saw with my eyes. So if you can listen to me, I have one or two little things I want to share with you. And I was born in a world that no longer exists. And I grew up in that world. And right up until I was 5, 6 years old, I only spoke in our language. I was a very impressionable person, a child. So I remembered a lot of everything that I was told. I was raised by my own parents and then a coterie of uncles and aunts and elders. And I was very fortunate to also have a friend who was a Jesuit priest. So as a child, I learned a lot. But I said that I was born in a world that no longer exists. And I say that not only because we're no longer there, but we have lost touch with our own culture, and we are sort of living any old way. When the Christians came, the missionaries, the teachers came, we were Yupik, and we were living our lives as Yupik. We had laws which we followed and had to obey, all of us. We knew who we were, where we came from, how we were expected to act, and also where we were going. We were not lost. When the missionaries came, our people, our elders did not convert because they already had a clear understanding of who they were. And they still had a direct connection to our Agayim. That's who we refer to as our creator, the one we pray to. We still had a direct connection with him. And us Yupik people, all of us Native people, still have that connection. Columbus came to the New World in 1492. The New World came to Alaska in 1741 with Vitus Bering. He ran into a little island, Kayak Island. He was lost again. So that's how we got discovered. A lost Russian captain ran into a little island out in the Gulf of Alaska. That was in 1741. In 1784, on Kodiak Island, 72 rifles under the command of Shelikov wiped out, massacred about 3,000 Sukpiaq people from Kodiak. And so to me, that date, April 1784, is the day when Alaska fell. The Sukpiaq had put up a fight on Kodiak for 13 years. There were 66 villages on Kodiak Island when the Russians came. When they left 6. When the Russians came, when the New World came to us, they came to us through the Aleutians. The Unangan people were there. They estimate there were 20,000 of them when the Russians arrived. When the Russians left, they estimate there were 3,000 left. And that is how we got introduced to the West. And it was extermination. So our people on the Aleutian Island and Kodiak, they know very well what it is to go through when you're being massacred. So that's where we come from. But guess what? We're still here. We've been through a lot since 1784. We've been put in boarding schools. We were shipped all over the United States. They gave us names, any old name they wanted to give us. But we survived all of that. It took a long time for us to recover. We're still recovering from all of that. But some things have happened in the meantime. They thought at one time that we were going to completely die from TB, and they were preparing for that. But we survived all that. We survived the boarding schools. We survived epidemics. We survived everything. And here we are. And we are still the same people that Bering discovered when he ran into Kayak Island in Alaska. But us, we have a lot to do. We have yet to secure our lands. We got a land settlement, but the land was given to us in a weird way. We need to fix that weird way. Otherwise, that weird way is the way we're going to lose these lands. We're celebrating ANCSA. To me, it's not a celebration. It's just a reminder that we have more work to do. ANCSA was not the end. It was just the beginning. We have yet to secure our lands, and we have yet to get our hunting, fishing rights back. This is up to us and our new generation, our young people. You have to pick up and continue the work. We also have to save our languages. Every child should know their language, because the language, our native language, is how our spirit speaks. My spirit is Yupik, and when I speak, my spirit speaks. And I still have a direct connection to my lion. That was never lost. And the things that were good for our ancestors are good for us now. We are living in a day of wonders, but those wonders were already there when they were here. They're just not apparent. But we have to keep living the way our ancestors lived, because they lived successfully. They had laws and lived by them. And those laws were spiritual laws. Loving one another, being kind to one another, being honest and truthful, serving the poor, the sick, the elderly. We were an outward connected people. We took care of the lowest. There was no lowest among us. We were all the same people. Everything that our elders and our ancestors had to survive, everything they went through, we still have. But we have to strengthen them. We have to yungchak them, meaning we have to liven them up. So yes, today is a good day for us to remember who we are. We have to remember our ancestors, what they all went through. All of them lived and died so you and I could be here today. When things got too bad, I'm sure they thought that someday among our people, there's going to be these people who are going to be born. And we will come back to life again. I don't think we are dead. We're very much alive. We just have to love one another and strengthen each other. That was the strength of our people. we never left anyone behind. We were not better than each other, and the laws that apply to one apply to everyone. So that I guess will be my message for Indigenous Peoples Day. It's a reminder just how beautiful we are. We are very unique. We shouldn't even be here. We're a wonder. We're very unique people. We are rare people. We have different languages, beautiful songs, and we see things that the other people are other brothers, and they're all of our brothers, these Black people, white people, they're all our people. They're all related to us. And so that's enough for today. I tend to speak disconnectedly, but the message is clear. It's that we know who we are, we know where we came from, and we know where we're going. And I have every confidence that we will live up to the expectations of our life. And today, what I'm hoping for is freedom, independence from poverty, independence from sickness, independence from fear, independence from everything that holds us down. And that is what my wish is for all of us today, all of us Native people. And I also wish this to all other people. Goyana Jaknuk.
Oyana, Harold. Beautiful. All the stories you told are exactly right. We are healing survivors. We are healing warriors that still remain on our homelands, and we will continue to exist the way as it always was. There's no doubt in that. I still stand here. The rest of us all still stand here, and that's why we're celebrating our day. Absolutely.
Thank you, Rias. That is very true. I just think that it would be nice to just hold like a moment just to kind of take in all of the things that Harold has said through the things that we've overcome, not only in this past year, but for years, and how this is a time that we can take a moment to recognize that we are in a cultural, a revolution and a language revolution. And so I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that. I know that we have people that have signed up today for Dwarf Prizes. So we wanted to also acknowledge the fact that people have come to be a part of this today. And Aries, do you want to announce some of these Dwarf Prizes?
Absolutely. After our nice little calm here, it'd be nice to award some people who have earned what they earned. Let's do this. Alrighty. So
I'm like, I can't say that.
Absolutely. First one here, we have who had won the Cave of Sockeye Smoked Salmon, and that is Tristan Morgan.
Woo! I know who to get some salmon from. No.
Yeehaw. We also have a small gift bag for number 2 here, and that is going to Chelsea Kinnegak. Apologies if I mispronounced the name.
And I love that we also have Miss Sabrina Walker.
Yeah.
The Alaskan Native Tribal Health Consortium's gift bag. That's really awesome. I know that I believe that we're going to have some of these. Most of the people that have signed up today are definitely going to be getting things sent to them in the mail. I even see my boss down there. Yeah. Our winners.
Jar of salmon to
Jar.
Robin Brooks. Ooh. The salmon winners.
Some people on here too.
Yeah, and they are, not only are they repping a great community, but they're winning just the right prize too. If you're winning salmon, you've done a good deed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're super glad that everybody can join us here today for Indigenous Peoples Day. It's the 5th annual Indigenous Peoples Day with the Alaska Pacific University. And also this is part of the Inks at 50 series. We just wanted to remind you of that. There's also going to be more Inks at 50 series that's going to be coming up throughout the year. So make sure that you find out a little bit more about that. I know there was links in the comments at some point, but I want to have this opportunity to introduce my co-host, Aries Hoyle, who is going to be our next performer. And I am super excited to have everybody see this amazing performance of yours. So,
Boyana Cheyenne, it's my pleasure to produce this and introduce it to everyone. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about it too? Oh, and like where you were when you made it and all that?
Absolutely. This song is called Dreamcatcher. I did it back in Juneau, Alaska, my hometown of the Tlinkits. Yeah, and it was done on behalf of another recognition that I'd like to give to ANSFA, which is an Alaska Native Federation that prevents domestic violence. And I said, oh, yeah, dude, I think I got just the right tune for you guys to rep your culture and rep your statement. So that is how we got Dreamcatcher. Mm-hmm. No more nightmares.
Oh, I'm excited to see this. Now, magic.
You will be my dream catcher. You will be my dream catcher. Spirit loud of the scream matcher. You will be my dream catcher. No more nightmares, cause I'm right here, my dear. Hashaguni hashuatka hashagenya. Wasadu wasakuski kwani khena. Gunal jesha kayena teacher well. Ha yakwa heyagu ya adwune. Dana hatu wasigu ayana khawata. Do ya hayi de gankudu it yatawa ha. Kasayayi hin khatin plashwasa. Plashwasa. Wa ekua. Yeah. You will be my dream catcher. Spirit loud of the scream matcher. Hear it now, let us recapture energy till we reach rapture. You will be my dream catcher. Spirit loud of the scream matcher. Hear it now, let us recapture energy till we reach rapture. Lift off this transparent planet, zooted, zooming through this cosmos. I'm Sandman, the superhuman Wizard of Oz ghost. It's all a dream. It's all a dream. Would fall asleep, yet all I'd see is dark decease. So swallow these and follow me. Day and night, staying lights out in peace. Cause no more nightmares. Cause I'm right here. Call me your sightseer, my dear. Hashaguni hashuatka hashagenya. Wasadu wasakuske kwani khena. Gunal jesha kayena teacher well. Ha yakwa heyagu ya adwune. Dana hatu wasigu ayana khawata. Do ya hayi de gankudu it yatawa ha. Kasayayi hin khatin plashwasa. Plashwasa. Wa ekua. You will be my dream catcher.
Wow, so exciting.
Thanks, Cheyenne.
That's so cool. I want to just ask a couple of questions before we moved on, because that's really cool that you incorporated language in there. That's Tlingit language, yes?
Yeah, Tlingit Yukatangi.
And what are some of the things that you're saying in there?
Yeah, so you might notice on the hook I was saying Hashaguni Hashawatka Hashagenya. That means our ancestors, our women, and our breathing power.
That's awesome. That's definitely be catchy for me. It was a great video, and thank you so very much, Gunishish, for sharing that. That's wonderful because it's wonderful to see that people can do that right in their own hometown. Did you do that with your own camera, or did you have other people helping you?
I had a friend named Josh Laboka who shot the video for me, and he actually used a drone to shoot that entire music video when we were back in Juneau. He's a great guy.
Oh, wow. That's so awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I believe you can find that on YouTube, correct?
That's right. You can look up my stage name, which is Air Jazz, and then Dreamcatcher. You'll find it
Air
on
Jazz Dreamcatcher. For all those people that also found that superiorly catchy and want to know more, that's how you find out more about it. So thank you.
Much appreciated.
I also wanted to announce for the viewers on Facebook, please do not click on any of the HE Live links being posted in the chat on Facebook. Those are actual scammers. So don't do that. We don't want people scammed today. We just want people recognized today. And so speaking of recognizing people, we're really excited to also have people join us. I know that this has been something that not only Aries and I have been working on with APU and all of the people that have been a part of this Indigenous Peoples Day. But there is also University of Alaska Anchorage that has been working with APU, and they're going to be joining us today. And I think it's great to recognize on Indigenous Peoples Day also that there's so many people that are furthering their education. One thing at the Alaska Native Heritage Center is we're talking about ANCSA at 50. We're thinking about how we can really honor the people that have been a part of ANCSA at 50 throughout the years. And it's really investing in ourselves. How can we invest in ourselves? How can we celebrate that we've invested in ourselves in the last 50 years? And that can be people who are language warriors, people who are artists, people who are making music, people who are doing videos, people who are professors, and people who are teaching. And so it's really important that we had a moment also here on Indigenous Peoples Day that we were able to introduce several guest speakers that are highlighting their respective Indigenous classes and their programs at Alaska Pacific University and the University of Alaska Anchorage. So I'd like to introduce the next couple speakers that are going to be talking here on Indigenous Peoples Day. Dr. Beth Leonard, who's Degaton Athabaskan, Carly Tyance Hassel, who's the Anishinaabe, Sandra Shaganoff Stewart, Otna and Paiute, Haley Hannah Stepatin, who's Unanach, and Dr. Maria Williams, who's Tlingit. So we are really excited for you to join us and tell us more how we have the opportunity to learn more about the different Indigenous classes and programs at APU and the University of Alaska Anchorage.
Thank you so much, Cheyenne. I think I'm just waiting for Crystal to pull up the PowerPoint. Oh, there we go. Ade Ihuds, Ganandadoista Ezre, Adaha Hatanatlan, Sadith Nakai, James Dementi, Genius Hava Ezre. Good afternoon, everyone, or my name is Ganandadoy or Beth Leonard from Shagluk. My parents are the late James and Jean Dementi. I joined the faculty of APU in 2020 as a research professor of Indigenous Studies after teaching at both the University of Alaska Fairbanks and the University of Alaska Anchorage. Thank you very much to Sandra Shaganoff-Stewart and Joel Isaac for this land acknowledgement translation, and also Joel Isaac, who provided a sound file so we could practice. Could I get slide 2, please? So Carly Tyance Hassel, who is our Indigenous Engagement Coordinator, and I will be sharing APU's efforts to indigenize the curriculum, as well as some of our degree and research programs that support APU's mission and vision in honoring our Indigenous heritage, exemplifying excellence, and preparing paths with and for future leaders. Also, I'd like to welcome today Barbara Amos, who is Yupik, as APU's new Rural and Alaska Native Student Services Coordinator. Could I get slide 3, please? So faculty training in academic disciplines rarely includes culturally relevant content and pedagogy. And my main responsibilities include faculty development in indigenizing coursework and curriculum, and providing more resources for staff and faculty professional development as referenced in the strategic plan, especially around Alaska Native culture and history. Last year, I worked with former faculty member Sharon Lind on a series of workshops and talking circles, and also developed a OneNote database of Indigenous resources. We have some exciting new courses as part of the indigenization effort, including 3 classes that I'm co-teaching with other Indigenous faculty. So Indigenous Wellbeing and Education is a multi-site video conference seminar with Montana, Arizona, Hilo, Awanui Arangi in New Zealand, UAF, as well as the World Indigenous Nations University. And this course was started by the late Oglala Sioux and Tlingit educator, Dr. William Demert, and a number of his colleagues, and it has morphed into an all Indigenous taught course among all the sites. So I've been very excited to teach that since 2013. I started teaching that with Dr. Ray Barnhart when he was still at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Indigenous Knowledges and the Sciences is a 2-site video conference with my colleague, Dr. Ocean Mercier at Victoria University of Wellington, who's a Maori physicist, and that's a lot of fun to teach. I'll be teaching that this spring at APU. And then finally, the Indigenous Stewardship class, which is a collaboration among U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Northern Latitudes Partnerships, and Alaska Pacific University. And this course is designed to provide students a critical framework for examining interagency relationships and nation-to-nation consultation challenges in the Arctic. APU students can also access UAA, Alaska Native Language courses, under an APU designator, so it makes it easier on students in a number of ways, including financial aid, and we're very happy to have this partnership with UAA's Alaska Native Studies program. Can I get slide 4, please? Finally, APU has several Alaska Native focused degree and certificate programs listed on this slide. The Alaska Native Executive Leadership Program is a great example of a program that is guided by an Indigenous Advisory Committee. And this program pulls through to the Masters of Business Administration. The Community and Place-Based Education Program is a BA program that pulls through to the K-8 Teacher Certification Program. And 2 of the courses that I talked about earlier are core courses in that program. And then the Community Health Undergraduate Certificate provides academic credit for community health aid certification, and then pulls into the AA in community health. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. I've really enjoyed our guest speakers, the dance performances, and the hosts today, and I'll turn it over to Carly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beth, for sharing about the wonderful programs at APU. I just want to say Buju Anin, Carly Tynes Hassel, and Indigenous Giashtaking and Ashnabik and Donjaba. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Carly Tynes Hassel. I am Anishinaabe from Galway First Nation, and I just want to say I'm so humbled to be a visitor on these traditional areas of the Dena'ina peoples, and I'm honored to be here celebrating alongside all of you on Indigenous Peoples Day. So with that, I hope to bring up some of the next few slides just to share about some of the other programming here at APU. And so APU is committed to serving the needs of Alaska Native communities through authentic engagement with communities and the co-production of knowledge with our partners. And we're so pleased to partner and collaborate with organizations like ANTHC, tribal conservation districts to offer amazing projects, initiatives, and programs such as the ones listed below that serve Indigenous peoples and really center Indigenous ways of knowing through cross-cultural education and collaborations. Next slide, please. And so I recently joined the Navigating the New Arctic Community Extension Office here at APU as the Indigenous Engagement Coordinator. And this office is a cooperative agreement with the National Science Foundation, the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and the University of Colorado Boulder. And really, we aim to build new research partnerships, diversify the next generation of Arctic researchers, enhance formal and informal education, and really center Indigenous knowledge, values, and interests in research and engagement to really address challenges and changes in the Arctic. And we really hope to support these efforts through research training and curriculum, education and outreach, community engagement sessions and podcasts, open science, data sovereignty, and research convergence objectives are really big priorities for us. And the office is guided by 7 principles listed here. And really the principles of equity, reciprocity, and the commitment to relationship building are central to our practice of research here at APU and through our vision as well. And I'm so honored to be a part of this really important work. And as a former APU student, building community and cultivating a sense of belonging has really been essential in my own growth and journey. And here at APU, we're shifting paradigms that will hopefully incite growth and healing in many different ways. And in every deliberation, we have to consider the impact of our decisions as researchers, as professors, staff and faculty, and as students, and as an institution as a whole. And so I really believe that we have the responsibility to our ancestors, to future generations, and as a community, we really have to center elders and uplift our youth. And through this, we're really building the capacity of future ancestors who will help guide us into a sustainable future. And I just wanted to close with this. It is an honor to have this blood that is part of the history, that is part of the story of our ancestors. And it's, running and coursing through our veins, and the strength and resilience flows through us. So we're surviving, we're celebrating, we're thriving, and we're living our Indigenous truth today and every day. And so, miigwech, thank you, and happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
Danset Wilset Kotana. Can you go to the next slide? And Zadot Janet Naganik doziste. Chine na kultani nas chukde nas chase chuchatne. Will set dwelai na ben ya ketan nene sinaka. Nat nishtian. Dance kultana denena glishna etlista. The nina katlana kashnoch oyashto. Nana kotana chilan el nina denaina chilan. The glishlani tselke koli daa. Tade not studash. Nilkanas the death der will set benini katset will set kotana. Dat oldilte kotana neliane. Will set hunik doziste. Sander Shaganov Stewart. Kashkava sa'a Suzette Dilan, Night Dini Ana Kayak Tsinziaden, Tulchina Kuya de Kara Etlan, UAA Chair of Alaskan Native Studies at Atna Kanagat Kadachtel Dichen Gagesna Chinan. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. How is everyone doing? This is a blessing and healing for our elders and family. The beautiful landscape that we have, the trees, the mountains, the sky, the water, and the land. We recognize that we live and work in the land of the Cook Inlet where the Dena'ina and Atna people have lived for thousands of years. We respectfully recognize these Indigenous people who have stewarded the land and still here and will continue to be in this place. We look for a good meeting and learning of this place. And also, I want to say that I am Saundra Shaganov Stewart of the clan of the Fishtail people and the Water Clan. And I'm from Chicaloon Village and Pyramid Lake. I work as the chair of the Alaskan Native Studies and I teach the Ahtna Dene language, one of the dual languages of this area. This is a beautiful day to recognize our people today and every day, to remember our ancestors and those that come before us, and to support each other through these tough times and celebrate with our family and friends when we can. The work is more important than ever to continue and change our education, to decolonize and to highlight our Indigenous education of our people. We are continuing this work through the Alaskan Native Studies Department at UAA by offering 7 Alaskan Native languages. We offer Yupik, Inupiaq, Ahtna, Dena'ina, Anangamtanu, Tlingit, and Alutiiq. We have innovative pedagogy by offering classes from our elders and fluent speakers and of our native languages. Also, we have place-based pedagogy is incorporated with our classrooms and our respective communities of where the languages reside. We also offer our language classes for APU and UAA students so that there's no issue or worry about transferring paperwork, as it is a great partnership and we don't want to compete, but to support each other and the students. This work is from Beth Leonard, Dr. Beth Leonard and Dr. Marie Williams and the Provost Hallock of APU. So we're really happy to be a part of this day. And also I wanted to recognize Helen Dick of McLean, who also did our translation and also did our Dena'ina blessing and recognition of our land of Dena'ina, the lands of the Dena'ina. I'd like to share the next slide and also invite my colleague, Heliana Stepatin to continue on talking about UAA.
Karasakuk Sandra. Ang alagum ayara isach dakok unangach akok. Ako tanamilra nangich dakok maarach dakok. Dani inam tanangin kuran nararizak. Hi everybody, I'm Heliana alagum ayara Stepatin. I'm Unangach and I was born and raised in my village in Akutan in the Aleutian Islands of Alaska. I'm an instructor of Alaska Native Studies at UAA. I teach Unangam Tunu alongside my language mentor, Dr. Moses Sturks, as well as other classes such as Alaska Native Music, Decolonizing Methodologies, and Alaska Native Perspectives. So as you all know, this year we're celebrating 50 years of ANCSA, especially regarding education. The Alaska Native corporations and respective village and tribal nonprofits provide millions of dollars in scholarship funds and program support to students who are taking our languages and many other classes. A lot of our regional corporations directly provide support for students to participate in the language classes that we offer, the 7 languages that Sandra had just listed. For example, the Sea Alaska Heritage Institute has a Northwest Coast Art Department and offsets tuition for all Tlingit language costs, even for non-Sea Alaska shareholders. And the Kenai Peninsula College, or KPC, has a partnership with the Kanaitsi tribe. All Kanaitsi Education Department employees must complete an Occupational Endorsement Certificate or an OEC in Dena'ina, which will soon be offered at KPC. And we're currently working on these OECs in the different Alaska Native languages. KPC also offers an AAS in early childhood and elementary ed programs with the Kanaitsi tribe. All Kanaitsi employees have access to education at KPC and UAA. They send all students to UAA or KPC as the local school of choice to help educate their education department staff. Everyone in Kanaitsi's education department needs to pursue education, and this is grant funded. Kanaitsi is also partnering with the school district to bring Dena'ina lessons, and since they need language teachers, this is where the KPC OEC comes in. These two pieces work together to provide not only economic enhancement, but also directly supports retention of Dena'ina language. And also, Kodiak College has strong relationships with Chugachmute and the Chunuk tribe. Chugachmute and the Chunuk tribe fund students through the Alutiiq language OEC at Kodiak College. They were actually the ones who started these OECs, and we're modeling the Alutiiq language OEC to create OECs in other languages at UAA. This way, those students who come from the communities where they'll be able to teach in schools after receiving an OEC can have their education paid for. Chugachmute and the Chunuk tribe help to pay for time to do homework, attend classes, and teach in their village schools. From the Chunuk tribe and Kodiak College partnership, we have been able to get staff and families through the language OEC, and we'll hopefully have 4 graduates from this program in May, which is really exciting. Additionally, the Chickaloon Village also supports students to take Ahtna language classes, and they have employees who are paid to attend the classes and provide tuition support. Other corporations like BB&C pay for students to take Yupik language, and the Aleut Foundation has supported students in my Unangam Tunu class. This is all just to say that we're really grateful for the funding support and direct relationships that we've built between UAA, Kenai Peninsula College, Kodiak College, APU, and our tribes and ANCs. And if Dr. Maria is here, I can turn it over to you to read the next slide.
Helihana, Maria Shantla Williams, Yuhat Duisa, Yes, Nak Hatsati, Deshita Nak Hatsati, Dekluwadi Yeti Ayahat, Atlain Kwan Ka, Carcross Tagish First Nations Ayahat, and Hachati. Good afternoon, happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Yay! What a fun event. I love all the music and the dancing and the wonderful, powerful words and the positivity. And I'm so appreciative of everyone that put this together. And a shout out to Crystal, because I think she's been our big behind the scenes person. So for some reason, I'm not seeing the PowerPoint slide, but I know one of the things that I wanted to address was recently our numbers, right? Our Alaska Native demographic is pretty impressive. And, we according to the initial results of the 2020 census, Alaska Natives are now 20% of the population, which is the highest demographic of any state in the Union. We also have a very young demographic, so close to 40% of our Alaska Native population is 19 years and younger. So that means that 1 in 4 K through 12 students in the state of Alaska is Alaska Native. So our education remains such a powerful place for us to continue to move forward on curriculum, language development, history, all of the things that are going to guarantee that we have a positive future and that our young generation, which is huge, are going to be our future leaders. So our educational programs of course, here at UAA, we're right down the road from APU, and we're so grateful for the partnership and the ability to share curriculum and to support each other and support our students. So I just want to say too that since this is the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, we often think of the 12 major regional corporations, which are quite powerful. And they have provided a lot of support in the area of education, publications, curriculum. Haley Hanna mentioned quite a few. And there's also close to 200 village corporations. So this is just a powerful fabric. And as we all move forward, it's so important. And I'm so pleased that education, language, culture, and history are front and foremost for everybody. So Gunal Cheese, happy Indigenous Peoples Day again.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate everybody that has come to talk with us.
Absolutely. Those programs are the future, Koyana. Futures that we allow to speak the languages, to embrace the culture, to do the artwork of all kinds across all of Alaska. You know, this movement's going to spread. People are going to love where this is headed. And the population and the representation will only increase from here. So huge goodness to all of you.
I know it's so great to see that we have such an amazing programs out there to really support all the things that we've been doing as Alaska Native people, American Indian people, Indigenous people, to be able to share our cultures and our languages and our art. And we're so grateful to have everybody that has been talking with us today. Thank you to Beth, as well as Carly, Sandra, Haley Hanna, and Dr. Maria Williams as well for being with us today. And I know that there's other people that have been coming and joining in. Thanks to you who have tuned in, each and every one of you from wherever you're at. And we are so grateful that you could join us today.
This is an amazing Indigenous Peoples Day. And yet again, I'd like to give a huge thank you, not only to the people, not only to Cheyenne here, also to the amazing people who put this together. Much love to Alaska Pacific University, Alaska Native Heritage Center, Alaska Native Professional Association, Alaska Native Sisterhood, Camp Number 87, Alaska Native Tribal Health Association, Alaska Native Village Corporation, Alaska's People, Native People's Actions, Native Village of Eklutna, the lovely Bumua. We couldn't have done this without y'all. Atlain Gunashish.
And I want to thank Crystal Kamakuk for who's really been helping us behind the scenes as well as our speakers, Aaron Leggett, Ethan Shutt, Patrick Salinov, Dr. Daly Sambo Duro, Dr. Beth Leonard, Carly Tyance Hassel, Sandra Shaganoff Stewart, Haley Hanna Stepetin, Dr. Maria Williams. We're excited that the Alaska Native Heritage Center dancers could join us also today, as well as the Ida Keljeshna dance group, and Aries as well with that awesome video. Thank you so much. And it's just wonderful to be able to put all of these amazing people together, to be able to not only listen, see, and be able to kind of take in all this knowledge that we've been able to have today on Indigenous Peoples Day. As you can see, we've been celebrating ourselves for a long time because we're very strong, powerful Indigenous people, and we have a lot that we'd like to share with each other. It's just our way. And so we're super grateful to share this day with you as well.
Absolutely. Koyana Cheyenne, everything she said, the spirit is with us because we're in tune with all of our senses here on Indigenous Peoples Day. Huge shout out to Crystal as well. Crystal helped me put this together, and she really was a welcoming person to have me on as an MC alongside Cheyenne here. Also, don't forget to join other ANCSA at 50 celebrations throughout the remainder of this year to see what's happening around our communities that led up to this 50th anniversary of ANCSA. Feel free to visit their website right there. And we look forward to seeing you next year and every year that comes after, because events like this are a once-in-a-lifetime chance and you don't want to miss out.
Thank you. I'm so glad that I got to co-host with you today. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Masicho, cha.
Ha, ho, ho.
Happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
Siguwu.
Yanak, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.